Declaration of Human Rights that affirm the inalienable rights, not just political rights of all people everywhere, but social, religious, cultural, and economic rights. And those rights include the rights to a job, and rights to Social Security, and rights to health care, and rights to things like a pension, and to be cared for in old age. You know, these are meant to be inalienable rights. And inalienable means the right simply due to the fact that we are born. So people around the world are gathering to commemorate and acknowledge those rights, here and everywhere. People are also gathering today, here and everywhere, for a second reason, and that is to stand up and protest and speak loud and clear against the taking away of programs that benefit you and me and others. It's called austerity in the name of the federal debt and reducing the federal debt. There are those, let's be honest, the 1% that is trying to slash and burn and plunder things like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And we are here to protest and say, no, not in our name, not here, not now, that we're the 99%, and we're not going to let that happen. You know, there's an economist, some of you may have heard him. His name is Jack Rasmus. And he did a study to determine where the causes are of the debt that we have today. He estimated that between 2000 and 2010, the federal debt went up $9.2 trillion. And he said that the causes for that were the Bush tax cut. In percentage terms, 34% of that $9.2 trillion were due to that. The wars and occupations abroad, 23%. The bank bailouts, 10%. If you take those three and you add them together, my friends, that's 2/3. The amount added to the debt from Medicare and Medicaid, 1.9%. So what we have, my friends, the 1% are focused on the 1%. Well, actually, the 1.9%. They are attacking the Social Security, the Medicare, the Medicaid, that which really is the least cause for the increasing debt that we're experiencing today. But they're saying nothing about the wars, nothing about the tax increases to the wealthy, or the cuts to the taxes to the wealthy, and they're saying nothing about the bank bailouts. We here today have to say something loud and clear, that the debt should not be balanced on the backs of seniors, on the backs of low and moderate income people, on the backs of those who benefit from Medicare and Medicaid. Let me just end with a couple of things. One, you know, we are going to hear, even though the super committee imploded, that's not the end of this. We are going to see in 2012 a continuous effort to try to find reason, to find cause, and sad to say, both parties are a part of this, to find reason to find 9.2 trillion, or maybe 4 trillion, to try to balance the budget. And probably what they're going to do is they're going to wait. They're going to wait until the lame duck session, after the elections, after the big changeover in Congress. We, my friends, have to stay organized. We have to mobilize. We have to send a message loud and clear to say no to cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. No to cuts to Social Security. No to cuts to balance the budget on the backs of low and moderate income people. That we should not be bargaining chips to accept modest cuts on taxes. So we have to stay together, and part of that staying together in our part of the world is to be part of what comes next after this event today. So I ask you to sign, if you haven't done so, either the petition going around, the sign-in sheet, or over on the table. And I ask you to join with us to be a part of this. And most importantly, I ask you to stay together, to not let the divisions that oftentimes can separate us and divide us to do so. It's important that we operate in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in places around the world, from Ireland to Iceland, from Greece to Greenland, and from all those other places around the world who have been facing austerity in the past and the present. In the past, it's been going on for 7 decades. It's called structural adjustment that the IMF and the World Bank have been doing. We're just experiencing it here for the first time, but it won't be the last time, and we need to operate in solidarity with people abroad and people here. Thank you very much.
No cuts now! No cuts ever!
No cuts now! No cuts ever! No cuts now! No cuts ever!
No cuts now!
No cuts ever!
No cuts now! No cuts ever! No cuts now! No cuts ever!
All right, we have a few speakers we'd like to call before you to say a few words, to share a few remarks before we move to the federal building and march from here to there. Let's see, I'd like to call first, representing Senior Voice, Retiree Council, and the North Shore Federation of Labor. Please join me in welcoming Wynn Antonio.
All right, Wynn.
Let's say that again. I'll say Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and you say no cuts.
No cuts!
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. All right. I represent Senior Voice, which is sponsored by the Cleveland AFL-CIO, and we've been working on these issues for at least a decade, but people in our group have been working on it many decades. As you know, those are two of the most successful programs in this country. It's a guarantee. People paid into it. They deserve it without question. So it's our money, it's our guarantee, and we speak not only for those who hold a Medicare card or are getting a Social Security check, but for our grandchildren, our children, and the generations to come. It has nothing to do with the national debt. We didn't cause it, and we shouldn't be affected. Now, we have simple solutions to any of the problems that they talk about. With Medicare, if they would negotiate drug prices, it would help the healthcare system and it would help seniors.
Right!
Medicaid, if we went to a community-based care system, kept people in their homes as long as they're able with the support from the community, we wouldn't have the problem that we have with nursing homes. And let me say, brothers and sisters, you're so courageous to stand out here in this cold air. I'm going to make this very short. But with Social Security, we have a perfect remedy. As you know, I think everybody standing here pays all year long into Social Security. There are people in this country like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, who pay in only for the first hour that they work. Let's make everybody pay on the money that they earn. That would make it fair. We call it just scrap the cap. So if you go to YouTube, it's a great video, just scrap the cap. So let's everybody say, scrap the cap.
Scrap the cap!
Scrap the cap.
Scrap the cap!
Scrap the cap.
Scrap the cap!
Thank you.
An important participant in our coalition, both in the past and we anticipate in the future, has been the Occupy movement. Let's hear it for the Occupy movement. I'd like to call before us representative representing Occupy, also happens to be a student at Case, still going through final exams. So let's give it up for Rebecca Hawkins.
chant that we call, they say cut back, we say fight back. So I say, they say cut back,
We say fight back!
they say cut back.
We say fight back!
So here in the Occupy movement, going on strong for almost 3 months at Wall Street and more than 2 months here in Cleveland. They've shown us over the past 3 months that there's a great and growing disparity in the wealth and opportunity in our country. This is made clearly evident when you look at the net worth of our politicians. The median net worth of a U.S. representative rose to $765,000 in 2009, up from $645,000 in 2008. And senators are really lucky folks. Their median holdings rose to nearly $2.38 million last year, from $227 million in 2008.
That's not right.
It's not right. 8 lawmakers are worth more than $100 million apiece.
That's not right.
That's not right. How can we honestly expect the majority of our politicians to understand what it's like to be a single parent working 2 minimum wage jobs to survive? How could they possibly understand what it's like to be a college graduate with looming student loan debts and no feasible way to afford them? With their amazing health care and retirement benefits provided by the American taxpayer, it's easy to see why they have no qualms about cutting back Social Security and Medicare that so many of our senior citizens rely on. The willful ignorance of many of our elected officials to target the real problems that created the budgetary crisis is beyond astounding. Tax cuts for the uber wealthy, of which the majority of Congress is a part of, massive tax loopholes that have allowed most of the largest corporations in our country to escape tax-free, and over a decade of endless war on 2 and 3 fronts. This is not a problem that the 99% created, but it is a problem that we can fix. But that won't happen unless we have a united front. So I'm asking all of you students, senior citizens, single parents, and soldiers out there to use your voice together to say no cuts. No cutting the vital safety nets that protect the poor, the aged, the young from going homeless or hungry. No to cutting programs that protect the health of our children and elderly. No to educational funding cuts that allow our young people to pursue a better life. This fight doesn't end today. This is just the beginning. We must continue to work together to occupy Congress. We need to call, write letters, and march on our elected leaders who feel that the needs of the 1% are more important than our grandparents and our grandchildren's health and well-being. We need to raise our voices so that we cannot be ignored. We need to occupy the election booth and hold politicians accountable when they vote against the interests of the 99%. They say cut back, we say fight back. Thank you.